Future Proof is sponsored by Learn Smart Academy, online revision courses for GCSE and A-Level. All your revision in one place, organised for you, interactive and game-changing. Hello, you're watching Future Proof, and this is the second programme when I talk about time management, better known in my world anyway as self-management. And yes, prioritising is very, very important, but it's also about being very effective, highly effective with what you're doing and efficient in the choices that you make too, and also making sure that we adapt to our new normal. For nearly all of us, there is a new normal there, and then normalising that new normal. So you create new habits around it. I also talked about making sure that you haven't got distractions that are interfering with your time management skills, and that you're blaming, for example, workload or other things, obvious things, what I call universal applicators that everybody understands, on why there are some time management issues, where in fact there's something else that's going on, perhaps a habit, an addiction, a distraction that's going on that is actually pulling your attention away from what you're supposed to be doing. And so in truth, you don't really have time management issues at all, self-management issues at all. You actually have a distraction issue. And I've worked with business owners before where in confidentiality, nothing has ever been shared, but we've sorted out a distraction, we've sorted out an addiction, a bad habit, and once that's been sorted, all those time management, self-management issues actually went away. So be careful, make sure you're calling it the right thing, is all I'm saying. So when I was talking about before, I talked about the importance of life balance, and here there's an example of a wheel of balance for business and a wheel of balance for personal life, and it's not looking to make sure everything's a 10 out of 10, which would be right on the outer rim of those wheels. It's about creating balance so that you have a smooth journey through life. And if that wheel, on those wheels on the bike, were actually on the inner circles that you can see, the green and the purple, that would be an awful bumpy ride. And what you want to do is actually create a bit of balance in your life. It also makes you a better leader. You're more predictable, you're more considered, and also you're more consistent because you are balanced. So there's a lot to say about being balanced. Part of time management is also looking at where you are wasting time. There is another program where I've delegated the whole time talking about Toyota 7 Waste. So I'm not going to stay on it now, but you can find all of this if you Google Future Proof on YouTube. You'll be able to find Toyota 7 Waste. But where are you wasting time? Also a strategic SWOT where you're looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and then cross-referencing them so that you can then come up with some action plans in those inner boxes. Force fields are very, very powerful, and basically a force field is just saying, what is the good energy that's helping me get what I want? Once you've identified those on those headings, what supporting actions can you put in that will make those attributes even stronger, actually it's like feeding them spinach. How can I make them even more effective? And then on the right hand side, you're looking at the things that are stopping you get what you want. And then it's those action plans there that can't necessarily get rid of those negatives, but they can certainly counter them in some way. They can reduce them. So an example here of health is holding you up from getting a sense of life balance, from getting a sense of better time management because you're not as well as you should be. And so here examples are health is an issue. Whilst you can't get that, completely get rid of it and bin it as an issue, what you can do is counter the negative by getting more exercise, eating less, and also think long term. If I keep drinking as I'm drinking now, I'll keep smoking, where will I be in 5-10 years time? And sometimes scenario planning can give you the energy to do what you need to do. Always remember too, if you are not doing what you should be doing, and 9 times out of 10 we know what we should be doing and we're not doing it, then you haven't identified a compelling enough reason that will make you do it. And so a good way of doing that is to scenario plan. And that scenario planning can be anything from, if I do nothing, where will I be in so many years' time? But it could be, kids always copy their parents. Do I really want my kids to follow in my footsteps and copy what I'm doing? And thinking, for example, smoking, you should be stopping and you're still smoking and doing too much, but your kids will copy you. Is that what you really want? So by creating more energy, you then elevate the compelling reason to get on and do something, which can then push you over that barrier into action, into motion, and into, if you like, getting on with it. You need to do an audit to see where you are spending your time. How much time are you, and in the last program I was talking, for example, watching television or listening to gossip. There's all sorts on social media. Are you sleeping properly? Where are you spending this time? And I know, in fact, I don't think there's anybody that I've worked with who's done a time management audit who hasn't been left with some hours they really can't account for. And that's usually dead time, because we're quite good at monitoring, for example, our working day, monitoring perhaps journeys and how long it takes to drive. So some of the stuff that we forget or can't always account for very often, I'm not saying every time, is dead time. But I just want to say, be very careful what you call dead time. So walking along, having an inane conversation about nothing with your child is not dead time. These are relationship building conversations to be had, and they are never ever a waste of time. So just be careful what you label and call dead time. And if you're not sure, just imagine on your deathbed and saying, what would you say? Would you say, I really, really wish I'd gone for more walks with my kid? Or would you say, I really, really wish I watched a few more hours of television? And that can really help you identify what really should be called dead or a waste of time, and actually what is valuable that maybe you've not been valuing enough at all because it hasn't been constructive or whatever else. But building relationships with loved ones, I think, should be top on a priority list, because those are the people, those are the conversations that you will be thinking of on your deathbed. So, really, really focus. There are different ways of giving yourself visuals to see where your time is going, and this is also the energy levels as to where you perhaps feel more tired or drained. What also can feature here is energy vampires. So here the top grid is actually 8 a.m. where the energy is highest, but that is drawn on more. That could be because you're more productive, but it could be that, for example, the person you meet every morning when you walk into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning is someone who drains you of energy. So just be careful why that bar chart is as high as it is. It's only in this example here. Then carry out a gap analysis. And a gap analysis is, I love the scoring. 0 means I don't know, or it's literally in the middle, in the balance. -5 +5. You get a much more accurate way of reading where things are by doing that rather than 0 to 10. You mark where the score is now, then you mark where it is that you want to be. You then look for the biggest gap between those scores, and that is a way of really showing where your priorities should be. And as I said before, it's not just prioritizing, it's then working out, these are my priorities, how can I now be effective in here? How can I be highly effective? And just going into the break, I just want to talk about Stephen Covey. If you don't know him, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He does a great book of reverse psychology for teenagers as well. But this is Covey's looking at urgent, not urgent, important and not important. What you need to focus on here more than anything else is, I think, box 2 and box 3. And the reason why I say that is if something is urgent and very important, then this is crisis mode. Key thing, this is box 1, just make sure that these really fit with your priorities and that you're not getting, someone else who, let's say, is a procrastinator, takes everything to the wire, then comes running into you, disaster after disaster, and calls on you to help and moves you into, if you like, their crisis box. The not urgent but important is where you are strategic. Have weekly meetings with yourself, looking at your workload, diarising where you want to be, and doing all you can to have as much of your workload in box number 2. Box number 3, I just want to say that is where there are usually other people agendas that are eating into your space, and just make sure that when you're in that red box, for example, that you're working on your stuff and that somebody isn't distracting you with their stuff. And how do you deal with it? You train them, you call it out, you name it and say it's your monkey, not mine, but just make sure you don't stay in box 3. Get out.